God's way, not our way. Sometimes it takes a while to understand. As I stood looking through the nursery window at our first son, I just accepted the fact of a normal birth and child. 7 days later, God would remind us that we shouldn't be so accepting, but grateful for His gifts. A week later, Danny developed what we thought was a cold. Betty, my wife, brought him to the doctor because he was having trouble breathing. The doctor ran some tests and discovered Danny had more than a cold. He had spinal meningitis. It was 1968, and most people with meningitis died. On Friday, December the 13th, 1968, we received a call to come to the hospital because the doctor wanted to speak with us. When we arrived, he told us that Danny would die within the next 3 hours. Just then, the door opened and a girl not much older than us came in. The doctor introduced her as Dr. Beverly Kern. Dr. Kern offered us some hope. If we were willing to sign the papers for an experimental treatment, Danny might live, but if he did, he might live as a vegetable for the rest of his life. The new antibiotics she would use might cause brain damage because of the high dosage. We signed the papers. Betty didn't want to sit with Danny. Instead, she wanted to go to church and pray. I was filled with anger that God would do such a thing to an innocent baby, especially mine. We began a trip on an emotional roller coaster that would last for 3 weeks. Danny's condition would improve, then deteriorate, and then would improve again. One night while laying in bed, I said to Betty, I wish God would make up His mind because I can't take this emotional roller coaster anymore. God heard the prayer, and I knew I had come to accept His way as the only way. Danny was released from the hospital in January 1969 and seemed fine, but again, none of the doctors thought he would graduate from college with a double major as he did in 1992. The lessons we learned. God does everything for a purpose. Our family was changed for the better because we knew with God's help we could live through any evil that would confront us in the years to come. God had sent Dr. Kern to us. Dr. Kern's first patient was Danny on her first day at the hospital, and she brought with her a cure and an antibiotic that no one else had heard of. God had showed us that out of evil comes a greater good, a good that helped my wife and I grow emotionally, but more importantly, spiritually. Submission to God's will is the Christian way of life. God had taught us His way. The divine way has a purpose which far exceeds our human understanding.